Hello and greetings from Egypt. I'm Hanum Khater. I'm a professor of parasitology at Bعناية University, Egypt. Thanks to the organizing committee of the International Webinar on Veterinary Science, Medicine and Research for giving me this opportunity to take you back to the future through promises for parasitic problems started at the ancient Egyptian medicine. Many of the important parasites encountered today not only existed and widespread before written records began, and our early ancestors must have been aware about them. Being the cradle of civilization, ancient Egypt became synonymous with power, wealth, the ever-standing pyramids, the mummies, the first solar calendar, hieroglyphs, and technological advancement. I prefer talking about ancient Egyptian medicine not only because I'm very proud to be one of their ancestors and thrilled by their eco-friendly alternatives, but also because a great part of their stories are well documented and preserved. The credit should be given to the Frenchman Jean-Francisco Champollion for deciphering the language and opening the door to a wider understanding of ancient Egypt. So sit back and be ready to travel to the ancient time. We have a story to tell, to hear the voices from the past, from the land of legend known as the mother of the world. Sit against the backdrop of the Egyptian desert. The wind whispers to you some of the Egyptian secrets and music. The step pyramid of Dusher hearken our memories back to the days of pharaohs. Such pyramid was the first monumental stone building constructed in the Third Dynasty by Imhotep, the earliest known physician, architect, and engineer. If you were sick during the time of the pharaohs, no worries. There was a specialist doctor for your illness, and the credit is given to Imhotep, who diagnosed and treated well over 200 diseases that dealt with abdomen, rectum, bladder, eyes, and much more. He is known to have practiced surgery as well as dentistry. The Edwin Smith papyrus carries the name of the man who purchased it from an Egyptian dealer in 1862, is the only medical papyrus for its time to reflect scientific approach to medicine. To see the full vivid picture, the ancient Egyptians were very clean people who loved life and wanted to live free of pain and disease. They shaved their body hair, they bathed and purified their bodies. Amazingly, they believed that human body consisted of passages that behaved like irrigation canals. When such canals became blocked, the person became sick. Therefore, they practice medicine for preventive and curative health care. The first school dedicated to medicine dates all the way back to Egypt's first dynasty. Physicians studied at schools called the House of Life. They were dedicated to one disease or one part of the body, and Egyptian doctors were everywhere. Preceding their age, they administered medications with recommended doses in the form of pills, cakes, suppositories, ointment, drops, gargles, fumigants, enemas, and baths. In addition, liquid vehicles were water, milk, beer, wine sweetened with honey to treat a variety of problems and pest control. The Egyptian pharmacopoeia included pioneering remedies like oils, herbs, minerals, and metals. Malachite, natron, salt, alum, antimony, copper, iron, carbon from chartwood, desert oil, and red ochre. They also use honey, white oil, ox and goose fat. Enchantingly, the green color used in eye makeup came from copper salts, which have an antiseptic effect, preventing or treating eye infection. In fact, copper preparations are the main agents of the present century against the bacterium Chlamydia trachomatis, the world's leading cause of preventable blindness. Before we proceed, it's worth to mention that many of the farmers' written orders urged farmers to combat pests and protect the environment from pollution. Consequently, Egypt was one of the first countries that paid special attention to environmental problems and its impact on the individuals. Egyptians didn't like pests, which plagued them, of course, but accepted them as a legitimate part of the creation. This work discussed ancient Egyptian remedies regarding parasitic problems such as bilharziasis, dracunculosis, enteric helminths, pests, and mosquito-transmitted diseases. Before we proceed, I'd like to emphasize that I am fascinated with the ancient Egyptian civilization, and I love parasitology in the meantime, which is my specialty. Therefore, I'll combine my both passion in this talk. Parasitology reveals the most exciting discoveries among infectious diseases. A parasite is a weaker organism that obtains food and shelter from a bigger organism or a host. There are three main classes of parasites: protozoa, helminths, and arthropods. Throughout history, there have been many existing parasitic diseases for every individual to have at least one. There are some serious parasites like schistosomiasis, malaria, African sleeping sicknesses, and foodborne illnesses and zoonoses like trichinosis, echinococcus, and toxoplasmosis. In general, parasites generate chronic debilitating, disabling diseases leading to great economic losses. Bilharziasis. Schistoma species, the most famous trematode, has ancient roots in Egypt. Since the discovery of the calcified schistoma eggs in a mummy by Rufer in 1910, paleoparasitology had evolved. Paleoparasitology is the study of parasites from the past and their interactions with hosts and vectors. People waded through standing water during agricultural irrigation. Then, schistoma-infected stage could enter a human host through feet or legs and lay their eggs in the bloodstream. These worms caused a lot of damage as they traveled through various internal organs, bringing about sufferers weak and susceptible to other diseases. Being experienced with bilharziasis and call it ancient Egyptians mention it 28 times in the Ebris, Berlin, Hurst, and London papyri. The term is still used till now by the Egyptians referring to pain. Hey Egyptians, now you know the origin of the word. Ebris 62 says the disease is caused by Harat or Sarkaria. This is a parasitic worm with a complex life cycle alternating between two hosts, humans and Harat or Sarkaria that live on the river banks. This would explain the sentence by someone who, aware of the mode of action, said, "I haven't waded in the water," as reported in the negative confession in chapter 125 of the Book of the Dead. Ancient Egyptians, schistosomas, mode of action, symptoms, and surprisingly, treatments. They should be given the credit for such discoveries. But the credit is given in Egypt again, but to Theodor Bilhars, a German physician and the first chief of surgery at Qasr al-Aini Medical School and Hospital in Cairo. During an autopsy in 1851, Theodor Bilhars formally discovered the causative agent of hematuria and linked the parasite to urinary schistosomiasis. Then he identified it as Distom hematobium. In Egypt again, and in the same year, 1851, Bilhars discovered the dwarf tapeworm Hymenolipis nana living in the small intestine of an Egyptian male. At the age of 37, Bilhars died in 1862. He was buried in Cairo, leaving a great legacy, as bilharzia is another term for schistosomiasis. and the Tudor Bilharz Research Institute, TBRI, in Giza, Egypt, is named in his honor for controlling, diagnosis, and management of endemic diseases, particularly schistosomiasis and their complications. Olga Lyongi is an Egyptian endocrinologist and Egyptologist. He wrote a vivid history of Egyptian medicine in several languages such as English, French, Arabic, German, and Spanish. Lyongi said that in order to see schistoma worms, it's essential to dilute blood in water before clotting, and a manufacturer lens is considered crucial. Even though there is no proof that such lenses existed at that time, LCC 1999 mentioned that the ancient Egyptians who manufactured glass and fiberglass also invented the magnifying lens. The penile sheath, shown in some murals, were anticipated to prevent urination in water or to block the exit of the parasite through urethra, and have the same hygienic measures and effects. Schistosomiasis of the rectum is painful and may explain the high percentage of ancient Egyptian remedies for the anus. Amazingly, the ancient Egyptians treated or schistosomiasis with antimony chloride. And such modern medicine up to 40 years ago treated schistosomiasis using antimony tartrate. Now let's make a shift gears and move to mosquito-borne diseases. Filariasis is characterized by swelling and thickening of the skin. Lymphatic filariasis was common along the Nile River. The swollen limbs of the statue of the Egyptian pharaoh Mentuhotep II, about 2000 years BC, suggest that he was suffering from elephantiasis. Some tomb pictures of servants illustrate enlarged external male genitalia, and examination of the scrotal skin from the Leeds mummy, Natsif Amin, prove the existence of the filarial worm. Malaria. The presence of malaria in Egypt has been confirmed using DNA-based antigen produced by Plasmodium falciparum, causing tertian fever, in mummies from all periods. Herodotus wrote that the builders of the Egyptian pyramids were given large amounts of garlic to protect them against malaria. Interestingly, the pharaoh Snefru, the founder of the 4th dynasty of Egypt, and Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of the ancient Egypt, used bed nets for protection against mosquito bites and malaria prevention. The ancient Egyptians used essential oils for their insecticidal and insect repellent effects, medicinal benefits, beauty care, spiritual enhancement, and literally in all aspects of their daily life. More information about insect control will be discussed soon. It's worth to mention that, despite the African problems, Egypt eliminated malaria since 2014 because of the efforts of the Egyptian Ministry of Health, local government, and health authorities, who engage in intensive malaria control activities in the affected areas. Dracunculiasis, Guinea worm, was confirmed in the ancient Egypt in a well-preserved female worm, and calcified worms in Egyptian mummies. The early description of Guinea worms are from Apis Papyrus, 1500 BC, referring to both the nature of the infection and the technique used for removing the worm, through wrapping the exposed end of the worm on a stick and pulling it out. Remarkably, this remedy is still used nearly 4,000 years later. I need to confirm that this worm is not a problem in Egypt anymore. Enteric helminth. Evidence of eggs of the tapeworm Taenia species and roundworm infection was found in the Egyptian mummies. A piece of evidence in the Apis Papyrus said that, "Don't eat until you have an appetite for food." Because they were very clean externally and internally, Herodotus mentioned that Egyptians were accustomed to cleanse their bodies by having purgative on 3 days every month to clean their intestine. They applied castor oil as a purgative and to facilitate expulsion of the causative agents of diarrhea. More herbal remedies for gastrointestinal tract disorders were used by ancient Egyptians and still used till now, like pepper, cardamom, coriander, cumin, anise, almond, chamomile, fenugreek, onion, barley, pineal, and pomegranate roots. Wormwood and pomegranate are well-known vermifuge till now. Powdered cumin mixed with grease was inserted by the ancient Egyptian as an anal suppository to disperse heat from the anus and stop itching. And leaves of willow, sycamore, and acacia were also used. Ancient Egyptians suffered from pests that spread diseases and damaged their crops and livestock, to the degree several plagues occurred during the time of Moses, like locust and lice infestations. The Ypres papyrus mentioned a few remedies against a number of pests. Let's start with head lice. In response to the frustration caused by lice, ancient Egyptians, men and women alike, typically kept their hair shaved. Surprisingly, the beautifully lavish hairdos were usually wigs or artificial covering of hair, which was a fashion for the rich and poor. For controlling head lice, ancient Egyptians mixed vinegar, water, and essential oils of cinnamon, rosemary, and turmeric, then combing thoroughly with the fine-tooth comb. A solution of natron water was sprinkled to eliminate and repel fleas. Against the household pests, ancient Egyptians fumigated houses with incense and myrrh, and washed the houses with a solution of natron water. They used the orioles fat to combat flies, woodpecker fat against fly stings, and fresh palm wine to protect from gnats. Against other vermin or pests, ancient Egyptians spread loose ash around the grinding mill to kill flower-eating pests. Against rodents, rats were captured in traps or hunted with cats and ferrets. The cat fat spread on sacks and bundles keeps rats away, while grains is the best protected by burning deer excrement. Against snakes, natron, dried onion seed, or dried tilapia were placed in front of a hiding hole of a snake to prevent it from leaving its lair. Over here, you could see the herbal antiparasitics used by ancient Egyptians as anthelmintics and vermifuge, antidiarrheal for dysentery, pesticides and repellents, iron topical preparations, laxatives, and hepatoprotectives. Cats were being used by ancient Egyptians to control rodents and protect grains. Being praised for controlling vermin and its ability to kill snakes like cobra, the domesticated cat became an icon of grace and pies. Now, dear audience, I could expect that your feelings smoothly came and went like clouds in a windy sky. Therefore, could you please live in the moment, take a deep breath, and blow back after passing by your journey of the vivid history of the ancient Egyptians, as it's really time worthy to sharpen the saw and go full speed ahead for the best parasitic control. Of course, nature helps. Having an Egyptian roots, plant extracts and essential oils are highly effective as parasiticides and repellents. Despite their promising potential, there are few products based on them due to their short residual effects. Botanicals are affected by pH, photooxidation, temperature, standardization, and microbial actions. It's better to produce them in different formulations like nano formulations to improve their storage stability and the quality of the commercial products. Conclusions. Parasites are exciting, beautifully adapted and complicated organisms. Recent decades witnesses emergence and re-emergence of disease agents. Despite being smaller than us, parasites are smarter than us. They develop resistance faster than our ability to develop new drugs or pesticides. It's wise to look back to go full speed ahead into the future, trying to win the never-ending battle by searching for safe and complex alternatives that parasites can defeat, and developing formulations that improve solubility, stability, control release formulations, and targeted delivery of the active compounds. Finally, thanks for your attention. Hopefully you enjoyed our journey back to the future and enjoyed the ancient Egyptian music in the background. For more information and details, please read my introductory chapter, Back to the Future, Solutions for Parasitic Problems as Old as Pyramids, in my book, Natural Remedies in the Fight Against Parasites, published in 2017. Please come and visit Egypt. Goodbye and مخاطر.